Hello, human family. How are you? It's Darren. Welcome to another episode of Fully Alive Again. You guys, today I want to talk about the psychological damage that occurs in our brain after narcissistic abuse. It can really feel like we're recovering from some kind of mental abuse stroke. Just like a stroke survivor has to learn how to walk, talk, and operate the most basic parts of the body again, we narcissistic abuse survivors have to learn how to think again, focus and calm our minds again, how to build optimism, courage, and connect with our own identity again. It's really like learning how to become fully alive again. If you're like me and you grew up in a house full of narcissists, you probably have never been fully alive until you started your healing journey. So today I'm going to share with you 3 important stages that we go through to heal from a narcissistic abuse stroke. This is really important stuff, you guys. So let's do what we do and dive deep.
No fears, fully alive again after these years.
Every human being on this planet is doing 1 or 2 things in their relationship with other human beings. We are contributing to that person's mental health or well-being, or we are contaminating it, blocking it, preventing it. When you're in a relationship with a narcissist, it is easy to see after you come out of this whirlwind of shit that you have been around a person who's been contaminating many areas of your life, and most of all, your identity. When we lose our identity, it's just like a stroke patient losing their mobility and their ability to speak, the basic physical attributes of human life. We have to go back to almost an elementary stage of ourselves to rediscover ourselves and rebuild ourselves. Because going through narcissistic abuse does have a negative impact on our brain, on our ability to focus. I really believe attention deficit disorders comes from narcissistic parents or siblings. If a person has, especially a child, if a kid has ADHD, look for the narcissist. There's a narcissist somewhere in their life. These things don't just happen. We live in a cause and effect world. But my point here is that fog that we feel, that inability to focus, to think, to make decisions, all of the things that are going on inside of our head where we just know deep down that we're not operating on all 4 cylinders of our existence, comes from a narcissistic abuse stroke. We are not who we once were, and we have to relearn things. We have to unlearn to learn, because our minds have been so contaminated and polluted by the narcissist and or narcissists that exist around us. So today I want to share some good ideas, some good information and enthusiasm to get us going on the right path of recovery from a stroke, from a narcissistic abuse stroke. It really is just like that. And you should take it just as serious as you would a stroke, because your life does depend on it. So let's take a look at this chart real quick. And I guess what this really is a slide or graphic. I feel like my father sometimes when he used to say things and call things what they weren't. I guess this is a part of old age, you guys. Anyway, 3 key stages of narcissistic abuse stroke recovery. If you look at number 1, accepting that damage has occurred. That was very hard for me in the beginning because I did not want to believe that someone could get into my mind and harm me, and that I was exposed to that and wasn't aware of it. And I really didn't want to face all of the things that had happened to me and how I had been damaged. But you have to. You see, because part of the narcissistic fleas, part of their stroke, is we start to pick up their traits and behaviors. And one of their traits and behaviors is to never be wrong. To pretend that nothing's ever happened to you. To pretend that you're perfect. To always have the need to be right. And not accepting that we've been damaged is part of this. Moreover, that's one of the things that we should be aware of, is that once we're around narcissists, we can start to be groomed into feeling that we have to be right, that we should never make a mistake, because we were punished so severely and covertly to walk on eggshells, to never be wrong. And it causes us to be perfectionists. And whenever we're perfectionists, we're afraid to make a mistake. And when we're afraid to make mistakes, we're afraid to live. Don't be afraid to be laughed at. Don't be afraid to fail in front of other people. I know this is easier said than done, but this is part of living. Because when we can't accept our imperfections, and accept that we're going to make an ass out of ourselves at times and fail, and that we can't be perfect at any time, it causes paralysis. And paralysis prevents us from examining ourselves. And that's what the narcissist can't do and won't do. The need to be right. You see, when you really wake up to the ways of the world, and this doesn't include narcissists in this basket that I'm talking about, but you're going to realize that instead of I'm okay, you're okay, like that book that came out in the 80s or 70s, whenever it was, and like this political correct world that everybody's trying to create, is that I'm okay, you're okay, I'm okay, you're okay. We live in a world, and always will, in a world that I'm an ass and you're an ass. And we've got to forgive, forget, and recover from the mistakes that we do. Now remember, I'm not talking about narcissists. We have to accept our imperfections, and by doing that, we can accept the imperfections of others. I'm not talking about the imperfections of someone wanting you to end your own life or destroy you or drive you crazy. That's not an imperfection, that's evil. I'm talking about the daily rigors that happen in interacting with other human beings. There are going to be microaggressions. There's going to be mistakes. And we have to accept that in others. To accept that in others, we have to accept it in ourselves. We have taken on a lot of the traits that narcissists have. They call it narcissist fleas, narcissist cooties. We have that in us, and they will expose themselves when we become more aware of it. But we shouldn't shame ourselves or shame others for some of these traits. Walking around wanting other people to be perfect is perfectly ridiculous. It's puerile. It's immature. There is no one that is perfect on this planet. And those who believe that they are, or that that's the way the world should be, are perfectly mad, in my opinion. Perfectly insane. We all are idiots at times. I'm an idiot. You're an idiot. We're going to make mistakes. We're going to hurt each other. Does that make sense, you guys? And when we accept the damage that has occurred in us, we can accept the flaws and imperfections in others, excluding narcissists. Remember, 2 different metrics for mode of operating and dealing with these people. So number 2 is kind of what I was just talking about, is know what the damage is. One of the things that I noticed, one of the first major things that I noticed was that I lost my sense of humor. And I became a very angry, bitter person and very aggressive. And that's a good thing. We all need that dog in us. We all need that. But I noticed that I had lost my sense of humor when I first came out of this narcissistic relationship. And that I just wasn't laughing as much. And laughing is so important. It will keep your sanity. I mean, I used to get mad when I would watch YouTube channels talking about this and the panel were having a good time. I would be, how can they be laughing and having fun when I'm over here dying from this type of abuse? I just wasn't ready for that stage of discussion. I wasn't ready or healed enough to bring back the humor in my life. How have you been damaged? What is the damage? We have to know that. If you're a stroke patient and you're having trouble talking on the right side of your mouth, or the right side of your body is not cooperating and functioning like it did before, that's an area of concern that the doctor and you, the patient, have to zone in on and rebuild and get it back to functioning at a highest level possible. We have to know what we lost. Are we more pessimistic? Are we more disagreeable? Are we more agreeable? Are we timid? Have we lost our ability to trust ourselves? What was damaged the most? Can we not fathom being in another loving relationship? You see, everything in life is a risk. We are designed to take risk. We are designed to bob, weave, go up, over, around, and through problems, whether they're people problems or material problems. We are designed to be problem solvers. We should not fear problems. You should look yourself in the mirror every day and tell yourself, I'm a fucking problem solver. When a narcissist comes and tries to set up some problems, I got this. Whatever life brings me, I am ready for it. I am a problem solver. Because if you don't have a major problem in your life right now, give it time. It's on its way. A personal problem, a financial problem, a business problem, a society problem. Problems are a normal state of human beings. That's why God gave us such a miraculous brain and such a tenacious, powerful spirit. You are a problem solver. Maybe that was damaged at birth. Maybe you didn't get that in your home. Maybe it was eroded away from your last relationship. What kind of damage has occurred? You have to take that assessment, because if you don't know where the holes are in your boat and the water is rushing in, your boat is going to sink. Now, please don't misconstrue what I'm saying. The good news is that it's not as difficult as you think it is when you have the right people, the right information, and the right strategies and tools to discover those holes and repair them. Complaining about the holes is not a solution. Adding a new hole every week is not a solution. Every day you can discover a new hurt, a new wound, a new title for that wound, a new reason for that wound, but it will not protect you or give you the skill set, the courage and tenacity to go up, over, and through that wound. One of the things that I had to look at is that I was constantly worrying. I was a warrior, not a warrior like somebody that was ready to attack and fight and build a life for themselves and fight for their boundaries and stand up for themselves and fight for their creativity and their sovereignty. I was a worrier, like worrying, what's going to happen tomorrow? What's going to happen today? Why did she say that? Why did he say that? What if this happens? And what I remember back then? And why did this? And I was just one big heap of worry. See, that's projection from a narcissist. All that they do is worry. They worry about someone discovering them. They worry about the demon that's inside of them in the darkness. They've got a monster in there that they have to deal with. Their whole existence is worry, worry, worry. And it erodes happiness, joy, clarity. Worrying is irrelevant. We are designed for the great adventure of living. That's what a human being is. Designed to create, to develop. And to do that, you're in an adventure. You're in the fluidity of living. There is very little time to worry. That doesn't mean that you don't think and you assess and you use logic. But worrying is destructive. And I personally don't know anyone that's gone through this kind of abuse that hasn't increased their worrying. And only you can assess the kind of damage that's happened to you. Does that make sense? And number 3 is to create a plan. A plan is the most powerful tool a human being has. Because once you have a plan, then you can attack. You can go for it. To be weak is not what God intended. To be weak is not what the universal laws of life have intended. To be human is to be powerful and to be strong. That doesn't mean that you hurt other people or that you're not empathetic or that you don't have compassion. It means that you protect your boundaries, you discover who you are, and you create a plan to achieve the life that you want. That's what makes the country that we live in, and if you live in any Western country, that's what makes it so wonderful. The freedom to create yourself. And so many people are trying to change the others and the world and etc. And I'm not saying that those aren't relevant at times, but I'm saying the most important thing to do is to change ourselves with a plan. The world is good because I feel good. Or there is no good. You see, if you're unhappy, you need a happiness plan. If you're sad, you need a happiness plan. If you're unhealthy, you need a health plan. If you're out of energy, you need an energy plan. If you're afraid, you need a courage plan. If you worry all the time, you need a calm plan. Do you get what I'm saying, you guys? That's what we're designed to do. That's why you have technology surrounding you that just 100 years ago, if anyone saw this technology, they would say it was impossible. Because we human beings have no limitations when it comes to the imagination. And our suffering is coming from our perspective, how we view what happened to us, how we're using what happened to us. Are you grasping this? A plan changes everything. What kind of recovery plan do you have? And by how many plans we have will determine how excited we are about our lives. This is it. This game that we're playing, that we live in, this world is not a rehearsal. This is it. This is your life. How excited are you about the rest of your life? What are you going to do? And of course, whenever we create a plan, we have to remember there's our plan, and there's God and the universe's plan. And our plan doesn't matter. What does that mean? Shit is going to happen. Sometimes it's going to be 500 steps backwards to get a mile forward. It's peaks and valleys. It's not a linear shoot to whatever your plan is in your goals and objectives. The journey of being fully alive is the journey itself. It's being cognizant that you're on a journey and you're trying to get from point A to point B, and that during this journey, you're going to run into monsters. You're going to run into obstacles. You're going to run into deficits and problems and ugliness. And at the same time, you're going to run into miraculous, beautiful, healthy, productive human beings. Fantastic experiences that make life so rich. Goodness is far more powerful than evil, or we wouldn't have any food. All the destructive things. What happens when a baby's born? The weeds or the infections, the diseases try to attack it. In the animal kingdom, what are they trying to eat? The weakest, the little babies, wherever they're at. But that doesn't happen as much as it should. If you think about evil being more powerful, all good will be attacked. We human beings would not be alive right now if good wasn't more powerful. Bugs and weeds aren't more powerful than the farmer. They try to eat the crop, but they don't get it done. Evil is a part of our journey in this life. You cannot freaking escape it. Stop wishing it away. Stop hoping that you can hide in a corner and not deal with it. It's part of our existence. And don't be ashamed if that's what you're doing. I've been there. Don't misconstrue what I'm saying. What I am saying is that you are far more powerful and capable than you know to get through, to go up, over, around, or through evil people and any problem that you are facing. If you have the patience and the calmness to be honest with yourself, to slow down, to be authentic. Don't try to compete and compare yourselves to other people that haven't had the same journey as you. And how many people have had the same journey as you? No one. So there's no one to compete with. It is between you, yourself, and I, the world that you create. It's between you, yourself, and I, not I as in me, but I as in you, for the type of recovery plan you create. Does that make sense? It's all up to you. And you're competing with no one. It's not a race. This is a journey of being fully alive during the journey. It's the great adventure of living. Does that make sense? And it all starts with a plan. A plan changes everything. If you're ignorant, get a smart plan. If you're weak, get a strong plan. You see what I'm saying? A plan can transcend everything. What is your plan to recover from narcissistic abuse? And have it as clear as possible. And then implement it. You're in research and development. Some things you'll have to throw away that you had in your plan. Some tools will work, some won't. But be very cognizant of the people that you strategize with and the people that you allow into your head and the people that you are around. Narcissists love weakness. There are a plethora of people online, offline, on TV, in the family, out of the family that are covertly peppering in weakness into your head. That is a recipe for disaster. I'm not talking about being supercilious and walking around like I'm a boss bitch or I'm the shit. I'm a swell guy or I'm a little angel. I ain't ever done nothing to nobody. Just shitting rainbows, butterflies, and unicorns. That's all I do. I'm not talking about that kind of arrogance and stupidity. We all have flaws. We all have weaknesses. I was in a mess before I got married. My ex is not responsible for everything that happened to me. She's responsible for a lot of shit and a tremendous amount of damage. I'm responsible for healing it. But I was a messed up human being before I met her. A lot of problems. This is the reality. All right? And I know I'm ranting, you guys, so I'm just going to end it here. And thank you for coming by today. I deeply appreciate it. I hope these 3 stages have given you some good information that will help you on your healing journey. I hope that this encourages you and gives you the enthusiasm to keep fighting, to rediscover yourself and to reinvent yourself. All right, you guys? And always remember, it's better to be damaged by a narcissist, abused, tricked, used, betrayed by a narcissist, than to be an ass clown narcissist. I sincerely mean this. You're ahead of the game. Use the tools that you have, and all of this stuff will come into fruition. And what say you? Please share some of the stuff that you discovered that you lost during a relationship with one of these monsters. I love the comments. You guys are very wise, and every time I read these comments, I grow, and it illuminates me, and it gives me the energy to keep doing what I do, and I thank you guys for that. I love this community. I really mean that. All right, you guys, and I'll see you on the next video, and until then, peace. Be well.